Hello students, good evening. This is teacher Brenda here, and in today's class we will look into this topic called ratio and proportions. Okay, ratio and proportion for both standard 4 and standard 5. Okay, so first of all, let's start with this word called ratio. Now, what do you know or what do you understand by this word ratio? It is a way, it's a method, it's a way of comparing amounts of something. Just look here at these sweets. You see some wrappers are blue and some wrappers are green. So we have something to compare. So what will we compare is how many blue sweets to how many green sweets. And to do that in ratio, we use a symbol called the colon. It's like a double dot like this. Okay? And the way we say it is 2. For example, the ratio of blue sweets to the ratio of green sweets. So you read it as blue to green. Blue to green. So if it's blue to green, then you count how many blues are there. 1, 2, 3 blues. So there are 3 blues. How many greens are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 greens. So if you can see now, read the statement again. It's a way of comparing amounts of something. So question is now, how many sweets are there altogether? There are altogether 7 sweets. What is the ratio of blue to green? Yes, blue to green is 3 to 4. I repeat, 3 to 4. Now, why isn't the ratio 4 to 3? Why is it not? Why can't we write it as 4 to 3? Why can't we do it like that? Why isn't the answer that? So blue to green is the same as 3 to 4. Now, what is 4 to 3? 4 to 3 means there are 4 greens. That means the green comes first, then only followed by the blue. So in this topic of ratio, you must be very careful about what are you mentioning first. Blue to green means blue first, followed by green. Green to blue means green first, then followed by blue. Okay, it's because we mentioned blue first, so we count for blue. We mentioned green first, then you put in green. All right, clear? Now with that, okay, I would like you to look at these questions. Write down the ratios, leaving your answers in the simplest form. Now, before we go to the simplest form, let me just do a little quick recap of ratio. Now, ratio is a topic that relates with fractions. Okay, it has got very close connections with fractions. Now, let's look at this example, the sweets example here again. So we have how many blue sweets? We have 3 blue sweets. Am I right? Okay, we have 3. We have how many green sweets? We have 4. Now, if I were to draw it as a fraction, I would draw a bar, okay? And I will need to ask you how many sweets do we have in total? And that would be the blue sweets plus the green sweets. And you would say that it's right, 7 sweets. So you draw a bar that has got 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it's a bit bigger here. Let's erase this again and draw a proper diagram. So I'll draw this and then let's have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 3 parts are blue. Blue, blue, blue. And then 4 parts are green. Green, 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 green. Can you see? This is very similar to your topic of fractions. Now, if I asked you, what is the fraction of blue? You can easily say it's 3 over 7 because 7 is the total. Now, if I read that again, 3 parts out of 7 parts. What is the fraction for green? 4 parts out of 7 parts. Okay? But at this point in ratio, there are many ways for us to compare. Okay? We can compare blue to green. All right? I can compare blue to green. So I'll write like this. I can also compare green to blue. Now, what will my answer be then? It will be 4 greens to 3 blues. This will be my answer. Now, I can also compare what is the ratio of blue to the total sweets. So, blue, there are 3 sweets here. And what is the total sweets? 4. Oh, sorry, 7. Okay? 7 is the total. All right. I can also ask you many other types of questions. For example, I can say, what is the ratio of total to green? So the total is 7 and green is 4. So remember one thing. When you add up all the parts in the ratio, you have a total. And how do you understand this? By drawing out as a fraction. Now, with that said, let's move on to answer these questions. Write down the ratios, leaving your answer in their simplest form, large building bricks to small building bricks. Okay, of course, you can see large ones. These are the large ones. So I'll just simply write L to S. What is L? L stands for large, S stands for small. And the word to, you see, it becomes a colon mark, L to S. So how many large bricks are there? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have 4 large bricks and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 small bricks. Now, revising back to your topic of fractions, just do you remember when you simplified fractions? Do you remember the topic of simplifying fractions? For example, if I gave you 5 over 10 and I asked you to simplify it, what would you do? You would do a division. Simplifying is always going to be involving division. You would divide it with a number suitable by both that can be divided by both 5 and 10. And your choice would be 5. 5 divided by 5, 1. 10 divided by 5, 2. So 5 over 10, simplified, it becomes 1 over 2. In the same manner, okay, over here, our ratio of large to small, so our large bricks to small bricks, they were the same as 4 to 8. Now, simplifying the ratio is the same as simplifying fractions. You divide both these numbers with a suitable number, with a factor. So 4 can be divided by 2. 8 can also be divided by 2. But you can also take 4 and divide by 4. And 8 also can be divided by 4. So I would choose to divide by 4. So that I will get here 1. And 8 divided by 2, I'll get 2. What does this literally mean? Now, I teach you a secret word. You got to put this word into your little brains. It's called part. Now, what is part? Every time you read a ratio, you silently read inside your heart 1 part to 2 parts. Okay, 1 to 2, but inside your heart, your mind, you read it, you understand it as 1 part to 2 parts. 4 parts to 8 parts. See, 4 large blocks to 8 small blocks. So keep this secret word in your mind. All right, clear. Let's move on to the second question. Let's explore a few more questions. Pink sweets to yellow sweets. So again, I write pink to yellow. All right, pink, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 pink sweets and yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 yellow sweets. So you can first read this as 8 to 6 and then simplify it by dividing with 2 on both sides of the ratio. So this will become 4 and this will become 3. In other words, there are 4 parts of pink sweets to 3 parts of yellow sweets. All right, let's do one more example to strengthen your understanding. Moons, suns to moons. What is the ratio of suns to moons? So suns to moons. How many suns are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 suns and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 moons. Simplify this by dividing with a number that can be divided by both 6 and 9. That would be 3. So now you'll have 2, 2, 3. That means for every 2 suns, you have 3 moons. Okay? For every 2 suns, you have 3 moons. Now all together here, all right, how many suns and moons are there? So you add these up, you'll have 15. And if I changed and ask you, what's the ratio of the total to moons? Then you can say 15 is the total to the moons. To the number of moons, it's 9. So then you can also simplify this by dividing with 3 again. And that would give you 5 to 3. You see that? You can change always the question depending on what to what. You want to compare two quantities. And then you have the ratio there. And you can simplify the ratio just in the similar way you simplify fractions. All right. Now with that, let's go and look at some questions. For example, okay, let's do E. What is the ratio of A to B? So count how many A's are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That gives us 7 A's. And how many B's? Maybe I'll use a different color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Oh gosh, it's 7 to 7. What do you say then? It's an equal ratio, which means if I simplify this, it's going to be 1 to 1. For every part of A, there is an equal part of B. That's why the ratio is 1 to 1. Let's see if it's true. For every A, there is a B. 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 And for every A, there is a B. You see that? It's an exact part, an exact match. That may not be the case here. What is the ratio of mugs to spoons? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mugs. So write that first. To spoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So here you have 6 to 8. And simplify it by dividing with 2 and 2. So you're going to get 3 to 4. And in a similar way, all the other questions can be answered. Now, let's look at this example, all right? For each grid, all right, write the unsimplified ratio of shaded to unshaded squares. For example, look at this. 4 shaded, 1, 2, 3, 4. To unshaded, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's where you get the 12. So shaded to unshaded. All right, then rearrange the squares in the blank grid You see the blank grid over here? You got to rearrange it so that the ratio is represented in the simplest way. For example, look here. These 4 shaded squares are put here in one single line or column. Now, you can see the picture more clearly. It looks like a fraction. Can you see? There is one column to 3 other unshaded columns. That's how this ratio becomes simplified and can be written like this. So here, let's look at question A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 shaded squares. And unshaded, let's use a different color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there are 10 unshaded. Now I want to shade all the shaded parts. I want to select all the shaded parts and put it together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The 5 shaded squares goes here. Now you can see this is like almost 1 part shaded to 2 parts not shaded. So 5 to 10 simplifies to become 1 to 2. Divide by 5, you get 1. Divide by 5, you get 2. So this is the understanding part. Okay, you understand why you simplify, what happens when you simplify, and we use pictures, diagrams, all right, to help you understand that. Clear? And let's move on. Okay, remember the secret word earlier? Parts. Now we are going to go back and understand ratio as parts. Now what if I had 60 ringgit? All right, I had 60 ringgit and I had to share it in the ratio of 2 to 3. Let me give you a story. All right, there are 2 children. One is the elder sister and one is a little younger brother. Father says, all right, I have a 60 ringgit to be shared with both of you. However, we're not going to share equally. That's division. We are going to share it in the ratio of 3. Let's put this small guy here first. So let the small guy be first, okay? The ratio of 2 to 3. So the little brother gets 2 parts, elder sister gets 3 parts. Now, how am I going to divide this money? So what are we going to do first? We're going to find how many parts are we going to divide it all together. So if the brother gets 2 parts and the sister gets 3 parts, how many parts are we sharing? 5 parts. Now what do? I do my famous rectangle. You remember when you learn fractions, you learn this? So what I'm going to do is divide this rectangle into 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you tell me, if you have 60 ringgit, okay, and you had to divide it into 5 parts, all you needed to do is to do a long division, 60 divided by 5. And if your maths is good enough, you will automatically know that the answer is 12. Your times table, guys. So every part is 12. Okay, every part is 12. 12, 12, 12. So now you can see clearly. The first person, the little brother, is going to get 2 of these 5 parts. Or in fraction, we will say it as 2/5 of the total amount. If you're going to write it out, this is how it's going to look like. 2/5 of 60. So I can also rewrite it as 2/5 of 60. Now, from the diagram, from this picture, you can clearly see the 2 parts, the first part, the second part. it's going to work out to $24. All right. And how do I get it mathematically? Again, 60 divided by 5. You can cross this out and you'll get 12. Can you see? You are doing the same thing over here. And then 12 times with 2, you're going to get 24. So this part, little brother is going to get 24. Now, elder sister is going to get how much? These are the three parts. And you can easily see now it's 36. Okay? So now the second person, I'm going to clear the drawing now. Just look at the question. The second person is going to get 3 out of the 5 parts, or 3/5 of the total. So you write it this way, 3 over 5 of 60, and that 3 over 5 of 60, that of is multiply. You change it, again, a division happens. This is 1, this is 12, and then 3 times 12, just like what you saw earlier, 36 is the answer. Therefore, the money shared is $24 to $36. And will that total up to 60? Yes. 24 plus 36 will give you 60, the total amount the father had. So with that, let's move on to see some examples. Now, same question, ratio is 2 to 3. But you're going to share 50. All right. So how would you share $50 or 50? Can be 50 of anything. Say 50 sweets, 50 pencils, 50 durians. Okay. Into a portion, into a ratio of 2 to 3. Very simple. Get the total first. What is the total parts here? Draw. If you do not know, you draw your fractions. Okay. So 2 parts. And then the other one is 3 parts. Okay, this is your 3 parts. This is 2 over 5. This is 3 over 5. And you're going to take your 50 and divide into how many parts altogether? 5 parts. So what is 50 divided by 5? Well, that's easy because the answer is 10. So there's going to be a 10 here, 10 here. In every section, in every part, there is going to be 10. So tell me, 2/3 is how much? 2 parts is how much? It's 20. 2/3, 2 parts, okay? 20. And 3 parts is how much? It's 30. So this is how you will divide 50 into a ratio of 2 to 3. And what happens when you simplify this? You will get back the same ratio. Okay? Clear? Let's look at another question. Share 800 in the ratio of 9 and 7, 9 to 7. So again, what is the total? Now I'm not going to draw. You're going to go up a little bit more and do it as a question. But you still need to know the total parts. 9 plus 7 is 16. That means if I wanted just 9 parts, I would have to take 9 over 16 and multiply it with 800 from that total. Okay? And if I wanted 7 parts, I would have to take 7 over 16, the total, and again multiply it by 800. Work out the calculation. How does 16? You can divide by 8 and you get 2, and you divide by 8, you get 100, and then you divide by 2, you get 1, you divide by 2, you get 50. So over here, 9 times 5, it's 45, and put a 0 at the back, 450. So it's 452, and if you don't want to calculate this, it's pretty easy. You take 800 minus 450. And that's the remaining part, the 7 parts. So 800 minus 450 will give you 350. And if you want to really check your answer, work out this calculation and you're sure to get 350. So how? This is 2. 16 divided by 8 is 2. And this will be 100. Again, this will become 50 and this will become 1. So 7 times 50, see, I told you, 350. Got it? Now, I hope you understand how to do questions related to ratio. All right. Now, let's go on to see more questions. Right, let's do this. Sorry if it's not too clear, the font, okay, but we will try. I'll read to you. A truck is carrying different bottles of juice. Orange juice ada, apple juice ada, tomato juice is also there. Okay, tomato juice. All right. So orange, apple, tomatoes. Okay, I think I rather write it as orange, okay, apples to tomatoes. This is the same as 2 to 2 to 2. So, 2 oranges to 2 apples, apple juice, to 2 bottles of tomato juice. The ratio is the same. Now, if there are 24 orange juice bottles, so if there are 24, guys, tell me, how many juice of bottles are there in total? If there are 24 orange juice bottles, that means the exact amount of ratio is there for apples. That means there is another 24 bottles of apple juice. And there is also again another 24 bottles of apple juice. Now, why is this so? Because the ratio is the same. 2 to 2 to 2 is the same as 1 to 1 to 1. That means every part is equal. It's the same as 24 to 24 to 24. You see, here I simplify the ratio. Here I expand it back. This is the same as you simplifying fractions using division and expanding a fraction using multiplication. Now, calculation. The question is asking us how many juice bottles are there in total. So what is 24 plus 24 plus 24? That's right. So you do your calculation, it will be 24 times 3. And then here you'll have 12, 6, and 7. So you'll have 72 bottles. All right? So remember, ratio doesn't have to just be to 2 items. It can be more than 2. All right. Now, let's go to the final part of learning ratios and proportion, in which you will come across this word called unitary. Now, this unitary, it means one. Uni means one. Okay? What does it mean? I give you many, you find one, and then you find any. See, huh? Listen carefully. I give you many, you find one. So you're using the unitary method, you find one. And then it doesn't matter how many else you need to find. So if you have so many and you're supposed to find only one, we do a division. Okay? And you have one, you want to find many, you find any, you want to find 2, 3, or 4, or 100, you do a multiplication. Now let's look at the question. The price of 8 similar bags. So that is many. Can you see? So what will I write? 8 bags. Okay, 8 bags is equivalent to 3,200. Is equivalent to 3,200. What is the total amount of 3 bags? Okay, from 8 bags, they want you to find 3 bags. But before you can find the 3 bags, you find 1 bag. That's why this is called the unitary method. You find 1 bag first. And if somebody says 8 bags is this much, 1 bag is how much? It's easy. It's a division. 8 divided by 8, you get 1. 3,200 divided by 8, you would get, what is 32 divided by 8? Times table 8. 8, 16, 24, 32, and that gives you 4. Put in the 2 zeros at the back. So 1 bag. Okay, sorry, English, 1 bag. No bags, okay? One bag is 400 ringgit. Now you can find 3 bags. That's your any. If they give you 5 bags or 7 bags or 100 bags, it's not a problem because you already have your one. So now you count 3 bags. So you see, from one bag now, you're going to find 3 bags. And that's where you use multiplication. So what is 400 times 3? That's right, 1,200. Okay? So do you see the division happening from many to one? And then the multiplication from one to many. So if you see a question like that, you use this kind of a method to answer it. Okay, let's clear this and do one example. 10 apples cost 15 ringgit. Adam buys 7 apples. How much does he pay? So again, I'm going to type out the question here. 10 apples equals RM 15. What are we supposed to find? According to the unitary method, we find 1 apple. Unitary method finds always 1 first. And to do that, you take your RM 15 and divide by your 10. And what will you get here? 15 ringgit divided by 10, you'll get RM 1 ringgit and 50 cents. That means 1 apple is 1 ringgit and 50 cents. Now what happens? When you want to buy 7 or 8 or any number of apples, you just have to write it down. 7 apples. And remember, what happens? You have 1, you want to find many. Here, you have many, you want to find 1. You have 1, you can find any number. So here you do a division and here a multiplication. So to do this, now you take your ringgit, 1 ringgit and 50 cents and, multiply it by 7. Do the calculation, get your answer. All right? That's how you solve these questions. All right, let's do number 3. Okay. 5 chicken wings are sold for 12. So guys and girls, 5. I'll just put CW, okay? Chicken wings, okay? Is RM12. All right? Come on, we want to do what? Find 1. Always find 1 chicken wing first is how much? The unitary method. So what do? Take this 12 ringgit and divide by 5. So yes, do your standard return method. 12 ringgit divided by 5, 2. You get 10 here. Then remaining 2. Put your decimal, bring down the 2. 20 divided by 5, it's 4. So over here, your answer is 1 chicken wing is 2 ringgit and 40 cents. All right. And how many chicken wings does Ego order? Many. Any. For example, in this case, 7 chicken wings. And what do? Multiply. That's right. $2.40, 2 ringgit and 40 cents multiplied by 7. Do in whichever method you are comfortable with, whether it's standard written method, lattice method, and get your answer. That's how you do these questions. One final example, okay? This is a bit of a K-BAT question, HOTS question. Why? Later you will see, because it involves a different topic as well. How does he make a profit or a loss, huh? So, what's the story first? Khairul buys 20 pencils for 22 ringgit. He then sells them in packets of 4 pencils for 5 ringgit. Now, does he make a profit or a loss? So guys, you got to think now. You buy 20 pencils for 22 ringgit. First, you must know 1 pencil, your cost is how much? When you want to do business, there is something called cost. Cost means how much does it cost you to do that business? So here, in Khairul's example, these 20 pencils, it cost him 22 ringgit. So how do I find one pencil? What is the cost for one pencil? That's important. And how do I do that? Using what I've learned in the unitary method, you take 22 and divide by 20. And how do I do this? Isn't this difficult? No. 22, okay, divide by 20. Remember, division is fraction. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and you're going to get 11 over 10. And that means 11 over 10 means it's 1.1. How do I get this? You can just do 11 divide by 10. Or if you don't want, you can straight away just take 22 and divide by 20. Now, how many 20s will go inside? Only 120 will go. So there'll be remaining 2. Put a dot, bring down the 0. 20 divided by 20, it's 1. So 1 ringgit 10 cents. Okay? Let's erase these all first. Okay? I hope you know how to do this division. Now, let's look at the question. So 1 pencil is 1 ringgit and 10 cents. That's his cost. All right, that's his cost. Now let's talk about what happens when he sells them. You remember he sells them in packets of 4 pencils for 5 ringgit. Now, listen very carefully. This is called his selling price. Okay, we want to find how much money is this guy making. Every 4 pencils, he sells it for 5 ringgit. Now, I'm sure you know how many pencils he has. He has only 20 pencils. So if you really want, it's pretty easy. You just go. If 8 pencils, double up, that would be 10 ringgit. If it's 12 pencils, again, a bit more, that would be 15 ringgit of sales. And if it's 16 pencil, go add in another 4, and he would get 20 ringgit as profit, or not profit yet, just sales, okay? And finally, if he sold all the 20 pencils, he would be getting 25 ringgit. Can you imagine that? 25 ringgit. So now, in this case, you can clearly see 20 pencils only cost him 22 ringgit. That 20 pencils, he sold it for 25 ringgit. Now, if 20 pencils were sold for 25 ringgit, you can continue to say, how much was one pencil? One pencil is equivalent to 25 ringgit divided by 20. You find the unitary method again and do it. What is 25? Divide by 20. So over here I have 1. So this is 20. I minus, I get a 5. I put in my decimal. Okay. I put in a 0. I bring down the 0. 50 divided by 20, that is 2. And this is 40. Again, I minus. I put in a 0. I extend a 0. So 100 divided by 20, it's 5. So one pencil, okay, one pencil was sold at 1 ringgit and 25 cents. So you can see it clearly now. Here, one pencil he bought for 1 ringgit 10 cents, and he sold that one pencil for 1 ringgit and 25 cents. Obviously, he makes a profit. 20 pencils he would have sold for 22 ringgit, and 20 pencils he would have gained 25 ringgit. In fact, how much profit does he make from selling these 20 pencils? You take the 25 and minus 22. He made a 3 ringgit of profit. That's called profit. When your selling price is more than your cost price, you make a profit. When your selling price is lesser than your cost price, You rugi, you make a loss. All right, so with that, I end the session for the topic of ratio and proportions. All right, thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.